In this video, I will show you how to send emails in ASP.NET using Sendinblue, which is now called Brevo. So first, let's take a look on the price. Let's click on transactional email. So we can see that we can send up to 300 emails per day for free. So now we need to create an account. In my case, I have an account, so let's log in. Then let's click on transactional. So because I already used Sendinblue, I have this dashboard. But now we have to click on settings. Then configuration. And then we need to create an API key. So I already created this API key. I will delete it and I will create a new API key. So let's create a new one. Let's call it first API key. Let's copy this API key. And now we need to save it. So I already created this Razor page that should allow us to send emails using Sendinblue. So first we will check if we have an error message and we will display it. Otherwise, if we have a success message and we will display it. Then we have this form. So this form contains one input field for the username, another input field for the email address, one more input field for the subject, and a text area for the message. Then we have the submit button. So here we can see that the input field is bound to the username property, the same for the email, for the subject, and for the message. Now let's go to the code. And here we can see that we have these different properties which are bound to the form. Then we have these two fields which allow us to display any error message or success message. Then in the onPost method, we will check if the model state is valid or not. If it is not valid, then we will display this error message. Otherwise, we will display this success message. So now we need to save the API key. So let's create a field which is private and read only. So it is of type string, and let's call it API key. Then here we can save the API key. Now let's go back to the documentation website of Sendinblue. And if we scroll down, we can see that we have this button that allows us to go to the documentation. So let's click on it. So this time we are on developers.brevo.com. Let's click on API reference. Then transactional emails. Then here we have to click on send a transactional email. Let's scroll down, and here we have this example. So we can select C#. So first we need to install this package. So let's copy its name. Then right click on our project. Then manage NuGet packages. Then browse, and here we can paste the name of the package. Let's select it and let's install it. So now the package is installed correctly. Now we need to copy the code that is available in the main method. So let's copy all of this code. And let's paste it in the onPost method after validating the form. So just here, we can paste it. So this statement will add this key to a dictionary, and it will be executed each time we send a request to this page. So we should not add the same key multiple times, otherwise we will have an exception. So we need to update it. So here we can delete the add method. Let's add brackets. Then let's set the value. So here we have to set our API key. Let's delete this value and let's write the name of our variable that contains the API key. So here we have the sender. So let's update the value of this sender. So we can call the sender best store, and here we can provide our email address. Then we can rename this variable because we already have a string which is called email and which is bound to the form. So we can call it email sender. Then all of this code allows us to provide the receiver. So we can delete these two statements because we can read the receiver from the form. And here the email address is available in the form. So here let's write email, which is the name of our property which is bound to the form. And here we have to provide the username. We can call this variable email receiver1. Then we can delete the code that starts here and ends just here. So we need the content. We will not provide HTML content, so we can set the value of this variable to null. And we can save the submitted message into text content. So just here we can write message, which is the property that is bound to the form. Also, we can delete this variable because we already have a property called subject that contains the submitted subject. Then we can delete all the rest of the code that starts just here till this code. So here for this variable we will use this constructor that requires several parameters. So the first parameter is email, but this is the old value and we should replace it with email sender. Then 2 is the list of the receivers. We deleted the BCC and the CC, so let's replace them with null. We still need the HTML content, which is this variable, and the text content, which is this variable. Then we need the subject, and all the other parameters are optional, so we can just delete them. Then we can delete this statement. We can delete the debug statement as well. And for this statement that allows us to display the response on the console, we can just add a simple text. And let's move this statement at the end of the try block. So let's cut it. Then in the catch, we can delete this statement, this one, and here we can add a simple text, and also we can display an error message. So we already have a field called error message, and it is equal to e.message, which is the exception. Now let's test the application. So we have this form, we have the name, the email address, the subject, and the message. Let's click on submit. And here we have the validation error. Now let's fill the form. So for the email, I will provide my email address to be able to receive the message. Let's submit the form. And here we have this success message. Let's take a look on the received email. And this is the received email. Here we have the subject, this is the name of the sender, and this is the email of the sender, and it has been transmitted using Sendinblue. And here we have the message.